It is a great pleasure and honor for me, on behalf of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce in Switzerland, to extend a warm welcome to all participants of the 7th World Investment Forum who are joining us for this session entitled Talking Business Latin America. Our chamber is based in Zurich. Together with our growing network of Swiss and overseas partners, we provide diversified services to Swiss companies who pursue economic interests in Latin America and the Caribbean, and to Latin American companies who wish to establish relations with Switzerland. First and foremost, I would like to thank UNCTAD, in particular Chantal Dupasquier and Maha El Masri, for contacting LATCAM and asking us to contribute to this important forum by collaborating on this session, for which we have invited senior representatives of different industries across Latin America. Let me now introduce our distinguished panelists and their companies. The Swiss Re Group is a world leader and provider of reinsurance and insurance products with more than 150 years of experience and over 13,000 employees. Its global network includes offices in Brazil and Mexico. Swiss Re is represented here by Angelo Colombo, CEO Latin America and Brazil, Swiss Re Corporate Solutions, who is joining us from Sao Paulo. Welcome to this panel, Angelo.
Thank you, Tatiana. It's a pleasure to be here.
AFRI supports Swiss and international clients in achieving their sustainability and digitization goals by providing engineering expertise for infrastructure, industry, and energy projects. With 16,000 employees, its worldwide reach spans over 50 countries. AFRI is represented in this session by Patrick Fuhrer, Country Manager, AFRI Chile, who is connecting from Santiago. Welcome to our panel, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Tatiana, and hello to everybody else.
ABB is a global technology leader active in electrification, automation, motion, and robotics, with more than 130 years of experience and over 100,000 staff worldwide. ABB is represented in this session by Vicente Magaña Hernandez, President and CEO, ABB Mexico, who is joining us from Mexico City. Welcome to this panel, Vicente.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thanks for having me here, and hello, everyone.
I'm delighted that we were able to win as moderator Dr. Philippe Nel, who not only knows Latin America inside out, but has also an impressive track record as former Deputy Assistant State Secretary for Bilateral Economic Relations and head of the Americas Unit at the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs in Bern. Besides being today a widely sought after university lecturer and book author, Philippe Nel is contributing significantly to the development of our chamber as an advisor to the board and honorary ambassador. A warm welcome to you too, Philippe. This panel discussion will address important questions around the opportunities and challenges for business during the pandemic and recovery, but also changes in investment policy reforms, as well as the contribution that each company has made to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. After the formal presentation and dialogue, we will have 30 minutes for Q&A with the audience. And now I'm pleased to leave you in the expert hands of Philippe Nel, who will moderate the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tatiana, for your introduction. I'm very pleased to host this panel with managers of well-known Swiss firms presently established in Latin America with substantial investments and business activities. By focusing on investment, UNCTAD points to the driving force behind sustainable economic growth. The discussion is very timely. 2020 was the year of the most serious recession in Latin America since the Great Depression. With Mexico, while Mexico provided only limited support to its economy, the other countries, Brazil and Chile, engaged substantial resources, leading to high public deficits. Brazil stood out by minimizing the health threat of the pandemic for the population, despite a large number of cases. We are therefore very interested to hear how firm managed this dramatic situation, what were their investment priorities, what investment policy reforms did they advocate, and how they see the coming years. From the outset, I would like to emphasize that 2021 witnesses a strong recovery year in Latin America. Gross fixed investment is expected to grow by 12.8% in Chile, by 10% in Brazil, and by 9.5% in Mexico. Brazil has already recovered the 2019 GDP level, while Chile will do so this year, and Mexico next year, 2022, and that will be recovering the 2018 level because 2019 was a negative growth. Now, this being said, let me turn to Mexico, and let me start with Mexico. And Mr. Mariana Hernandez, you are president and CEO of ABB Mexico. ABB is playing a major role in Mexico's automotive sector, a powerhouse of the economy. 90% of the vehicles produced in Mexico have or went through at least one ABB product or solution in its manufacturing process. So, Mr. Mariana Hernandez, how did the COVID crisis affect opportunities and challenges in investing and operating a business in Mexico? Please, you have the floor.
Sure, Philippe. Well, we want to take care of people and, of course, the business. Let me picture this a bit more for you, because we realize that on tactic leadership and creating a secure and stable environment was critical for us in terms of continue our people and business continuity. ABB in Mexico was classified as essential operation as we collaborate with the 24/7 on keeping the lights on the electrical sector, and also assuring all the very critical sectors like the food and beverage, among others, needed to work as they use our automation and digital solutions. So we put this basically in three areas. Of course, this was evolved. We did not realize that on middle March, we will not come back to the office or to the plants in the same way. So we launched a program and one we call You're Not Alone. And You're Not Alone initiative was focused basically in three areas. One was mainly education and awareness. We put together some videos that we distribute in different ways, via WhatsApp, via email, or even being used in the local town halls or the country town halls, in order to aim to get closer to all employees and our colleagues, basically on their challenges and concerns. We realized that more so the challenge is that the people, it was in the middle of confusion at the same time and getting in the first wave contagious with COVID, but also facing a lot of concerns. So this came out the prevention as a primary. We launched here a primary medical care, because the number of cases starting to come up in different places, and we are not experts. We have a very strong medical system, a medical network within ABB, but we want to take care of the people at their houses, and also making sure that they receive basically from psychological support, availability on protective equipment, and even the first care, because we really start learning that the first 8 hours sometimes were the most critical. Of course, in prevention associated with that, we distribute to our colleagues and their families disinfection materials, protective equipment, okay, and even continue to connect with them on practices on how to what we call stop the chain, because once we started to propagate, the chain can really get really bad. The early detection was the kind of the third area for us, and this care program that was assisting our people at home it started with a test, basically to making sure that it get in control. We classify within the crisis team the severity levels of COVID in 3 levels. This depends on the illness severity, and our target really was to prevent that nobody really reach level 3, which includes hospitalization and medical support. And sometimes the medical and the mechanical support here can be very critical, and then it was basically on the hospital and the COVID hospitals and hands that it was very limited for us that we can do. With this, we reduce the propagation rate and also the mortality rate. I would like to say that in a very large population in Mexico, more than 5,000 people with 9 plants, and we continue to operate basically I would say a business as usual, at least basically in the plant. So we did not stop. We actually had very critical materials like transformers and automation that were critically ordered from some of the from different areas into the country. Business continuity was one of the critical ones, since the volumes were down from 10 even to 60 to 70% in some of the sectors we operate in Mexico. So we, even though we were considered as essential, and we needed to operate and continue to work closely with customers, but we started to realize that cash was most of our customers, and our customers start suffering from cash issues because the economy started really having some challenges, basically on the continuity on their business. So the market business conditions were very challenging. We needed to adjust according to these business conditions. So some temporal and permanent actions, even to right sizing the organization. We needed to refocus the business. Basically, once we realized that some of the business sectors will not come back in the short or the middle term, such as hoteling, construction. Mexico is a very large tourist sector here. The private investment on energy, and this happened for different reasons, and more from policies related to the government in the locally. And also we put an extra effort in some areas that we realized that started to grow faster, not just in Mexico, but also globally, like data centers. We support different temporal hospitals and retrofit another new build new hospitals and retrofits on other hospitals. And also the business with government is starting to pick up, especially in transportation, just at the beginning of that year. So the federal government started to put some money at the state level and also at the federal level among transportation.
Okay, thank you very much. It's very impressive to see the actions that your company took in order to help your employees and also their families to go through this very, very severe crisis, and also how fast you could do it. Now, in Mexico in 2020, gross fixed investment fell by 18.3%. 18.3%. So I gather from that indeed also in your company there was not much investment done in that year, just because there was idle capacity, and you had to go over that bridge in order then to see later how things would look like. Have you a comment on that?
Sure. Well, the environment was a bit challenged. I would say that the government profile, there has been and continue a number of interlinked social economical support, not COVID related. I would like to be clear on that. So this social economical support were specific areas and the population. We also start seeing a number of fast track bills prior to the elections. Last year, we have faced the largest elections. Just to give you an idea, we voted for more than 21,000 public official positions, and then basically changed the whole environment in the lower house and the governorships in Mexico. So the government at that time also took a political stand regarding private investment on energy segments, stating that this is a strategic move to secure or provide security on energy for Mexico. Government as well did cancel several infrastructure projects. You might be aware of those, as some of those very visual, as the Mexico City airport. But in addition to that, they launched a number of different infrastructure icon projects, like another new Mexico City airport, the Maya train, a new refinery, and also launch at the development of the South, what they call the Istmo on Tehuantepec. So we saw there a number of areas where we or reforms, like the labor reform, as well initiated, as well as the subcontracting that we needed to tackle as the way we understand in the market, also understanding how this will be the law associated with those bills will be implemented at the time. And so we needed to get prepared, not just the people, also the business systems and the way we want to interact with our customers. So I will say in this, that I believe that the balance between the private and the public investments is important, especially for us and others. The Latin America and Mexico continue to be an opportunity for infrastructure. And we believe basically that the balance between fossil and renewable energy is important, while the batteries become more accessible, especially for renewable energy. The transition to low carbon society and reduction for solid emissions through policies and regulations, promoting the use of efficient and recent technologies, that's something that we're still revising how much will we continue, especially how much will we promote the government directly or even through policies. And Mexico plays a very key role. We believe there is a world-class industrial sector that it plays a crucial role basically in the economic growth. So this actually was an opportunity for us later on, as we see some specific areas in the US are starting to pick up, and we needed to basically making sure that the business continue for that. And we believe that the synergies between and common efforts between private industry and government to improve competitiveness are applicable in order to become Mexico much more competitive in the complete landscape globally, Philippe. Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez. I think you gave us a very good overview of the investment situation as it has been in the past year, and the opportunities also which are coming up now for these coming couple of years. And we can see that there is a lot of dynamism in Mexico, and there are also some great opportunities which are there, in particular for infrastructure and also for projects which will be linked to the United States, that being a very, very big market for Mexico. Now, let me go down to the southern cone with Brazil, the 12th largest economy in the world. And let me offer the floor to Angelo Colombo, who is the Regional Chief Executive Officer for Latin America of Swiss Re Solution. Swiss Re is one of the world's leading providers of reinsurance, insurance, and other forms of insurance-based risk transfer. you benefit from a unique cross-sectional knowledge of the economy. Through your valuable services, you want to make Brazil and the world more resilient. So, Mr. Angelo, could you tell us a little bit on what investment challenges and opportunities did COVID crisis raise for you and your clients in Brazil? Mr. Colombo, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Philip. And again, thank you very much for this opportunity, for the invitation. As you rightly said, so Swiss Re mission is to make the world more resilient wherever we are. And in times of difficulties, we are also shock absorbers as reinsurers, as insurers in the case of corporate solutions. So we've been always committed to supporting our clients in difficult times. And in this particular time, clients needed protection. They needed a strong balance sheet in order to transfer their risks, even in a more pronounced way than in ordinary times. So Swiss Re holds a strong credit rating, very important for the clients to continue to operate. And we focused on some areas that would be of higher need of them along the pandemic. The first of all, it's business interruption. So we know that clients would continue to demand this coverage, and there was a lot of uncertainty amidst the pandemic and discussions about coverage, and we never ceased to offer this important cover so that clients would rely on us and stay protected and could continue with their operations. The second important measure was to keep our operation in general liability. We know new liabilities surfaced along COVID, and the clients in difficult stress time would like to transfer those to the financial sector, in particular after lockdowns. Most of them were driving in the black condition or in a lot of uncertainty. So all of them susceptible to more litigation, so more complaints from workers and eventually from shareholders. So we also reinforced this area, and in partnership with our shareholder in Brazil, which is a very reliable bank, Bradesco, we offered all those products for mid to large corporations. Then we also have a very important contribution to the agricultural sector. So in Brazil, agriculture represents around 30% of the GDP. And this segment in particular is very subject to climate conditions. And along the pandemic was the powerhouse that maintained the Brazilian economy moving forward, not only to feed the 220 million population, but also to be able to export and bring revenues to the country, so that the country could still do all this rapid reaction to COVID and keep the economy up. So as you mentioned in the beginning, our GDP was down only 4% when you compare even to more mature economies that went down double digit. So we brought new products to the country, offering capital, offering options for the small producers, for the large producers, and this was an important movement to make sure the agricultural sector would keep up. But at the same time, we saw many opportunities and also to review our operation. So we had certainly all in the technology space advanced pretty well. So for example, surveys that we usually were doing on site could be done from satellites, drones, or from distance, where the customer were doing their self-inspections and sending to us. Also, we increased our efforts in the customers' needs and customer-centric vision. And with all this digitization transition that came to stay, I see that this was an opportunity for Swiss Re to step up in Brazil as a corporate insurer. And also in our culture that was already flexible and allowed remote work, this was quite straightforward. So the day we had to move our employees to home, this was not a huge transition. And our IT infrastructure enabled us to keep operating. So as I said, double sides of the sword, a lot of challenges, and we were here to support our clients and the country, but also opportunities for a player like us with a solid balance sheet and the expertise to really absorb shocks in the most difficult times of humanity.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Colombo. I think, again, what is very positive out of all of that is that there's been a crisis, but there are opportunities. And indeed, crisis mean also opportunity. And therefore, this crisis led you to take some measures to go beyond what you might have perhaps done otherwise in terms of review operations, in terms of efforts toward customers' needs, and also digitization, which has increased very, very significantly during all that period. And if we look at Brazil, we can see that now in 2021, investment is forecast to grow by 10% in 2021, gross fixed investment, which is a very, very large number. It will go back down to lower numbers in 2022, 2023. But this shows the resilience of the economy and its capacity now to come into renewed, sustainable growth. I do not know if you want to add a couple of words on the investment policy stage in the elements in the investment climate which your clients do face and which might be the most difficult one for them.
Yes, certainly, Philip. So as part of our management to protect our balance sheet, we had to reduce duration and really to be very conservative in the bonds, as we provide bonds for contractors. And we knew that that would be more volatile, as there would be more breakdowns of companies, and we still need to be in the game. So we changed our way of assessing companies and credit risk, and decreased a little bit the limits. And this is paying off now, because we have been able to provide support to all the customers that need it. And having said that, so in Brazil, we have a very strong regulatory framework for insurers and financial sector, whereby we are obliged to invest in treasury bonds, most of our reserves, and we are really subject to the sovereign yield. But so that it's very important to keep the country really strong. And also on the opportunity side, Philip, I would like to add that we issued around 9,000 certificates of training to our customers. So we implemented a digital university in order to promote this knowledge about insurance along the pandemic, something that before were only presential. We took advantage of this digitization wave to launch, and this was quite successful. And all these people were certified by Swiss Re Institute, a very renowned institute, and online. So the knowledge, the investment knowledge and financial knowledge was something very scarce, and it continues to be scarce in the region. But with this digitization, we were able to promote, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah, thank you very much, Angelo. I think it was very helpful. And for us who are not specialists on reinsurance, it was very useful to hear the role of reinsurance company in an economy in order to make that economy more resilient, in order to support your clients and to help them overcome difficult times as they were to be overcome over last year. Now, let me go to Chile, and I'm going to discuss now with Patrick Furrer, who is the country manager of AFRI. AFRI is a world-leading engineering firm. Mr. Furrer, your activities depend strongly on investment and economic growth. Chile had the fastest rollout of the vaccine COVID of any emerging market economy in the world. And Chile also ranks third on income per capita in Latin America and seeks to join the club of high-income countries. In addition to the pandemic, important social issues have dominated the agenda in the past few years. So let me start by raising with you the point of how would you assess opportunities and challenges in view of the social situation of the country? You have the floor, Mr. Furrer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nell. Yeah, as you mentioned, the social political situation with the social unrest just a couple of months before the whole pandemic started, obviously created in the first moment a lot of uncertainty and is still generating a lot of doubts whether investors should put their money or invest their money in opportunities here in Chile or not. And in particular for long-term investments such as energy or infrastructure projects, where we are mainly involved here in Chile or in AFRI. And but however, in spite of the whole turmoil and the events that happen in Chile, is still quite a safe place to invest in Latin America, especially if one is active in a region and comparing with other or the neighboring countries. The situation is still quite solid, and there are processes, political processes, and in fact we see that especially the foreign investment has picked up, especially since the beginning of 2021. There's even it even reached higher numbers than pre-pandemic levels. So and this shows that in general there's still quite a positive view and on the situation in the country, especially from foreign investors. I think the local investors are more hesitant than the international ones, as far as we can observe in the projects where we are involved.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Furrer. I think I can fully share your views, and the data also supports your views very, very strongly. For 2021, gross fixed investment in Chile will grow by 12.8% forecast. 12.8, it's the highest number of the three countries we are discussing this afternoon. And for next year, the year after, it's 6.2%, 4.2%. These are some very, very strong numbers, and particularly compared also to Mexico and to Brazil. So we see with Chile indeed a solid situation, and this is also strengthened by the fact that in Chile right now 74% of the population has received two doses of the vaccine. 74%, and by the end of the year, the objective is to have 90%, which would mean that there would be a full immunity in the Chilean society. So these are very, very positive signals for the economy and also for growth and for investors. Now, in your particular field, you are working with quite a number of sectors, engineering, offering your services. And what would be on the top of your wish list in terms of changes in investment policy that would really bring business to move even faster?
Well, there's a for us we work in sectors where we have long-term investments. So the investors, they need security that the regulatory environment is followed and it stays the way they have evaluated it. I mean, all these in Chile. Actually, at the moment, it's already quite an interesting place and has a lot of international agreements which simplify business in many areas. That's also why in Chile it's very often a hub for the Latin American business. So what the investors need to see is that that their investments are not cut short or put in danger by arbitrary regulatory or political decisions, which at the moment where a new constitution is being written, there are certain risks at the moment. However, I think that I think personally that the changes will be smoother than maybe some groups would like to have it, but I think that's better for the investment environment in Chile and also for the overall economy. I mean, there's the comparisons are being made with Venezuela, and I don't think we are heading that way, or it's still a long way. So that is important, and also that the government. I mean, Chile is a highly privatized market, and that we have maybe more involvement from the financial side, and also from the government. I think there's a lot of important issues to be addressed that not only the private investors can take care of. So there should be some maybe a more active role in certain areas, also from the financial side in lighthouse projects for the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fura. I think you give us a very good insight of how a business is positioned toward investment and about the perspective. Referring to the new constitution, as we hear, an important emphasis will be put on education and on social issues and on infrastructure, so that it is likely to result to more expenses by the future governments. But this being said, the investment climate should and will remain a very strong investment climate. Chile is the Latin American country which ranks best at the World Bank Doing Business annual report, and therefore Chile offers, as you have been pointing, very good conditions for foreign investors and also for local investors. With this, we would have finished the first round of our discussion, which was at investment. We are on the World Investment Forum, so this is really the key aspect being discussed here at this forum. But linked to that now in a second session, where I will again talk to managers and CEOs of the three countries, we are going to look at the contribution of their companies to fulfill the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is a broad and ambitious program for 2030, reflecting basic human needs with no poverty, zero hunger, clean water and sanitation, quality education on one hand, and on the other hand, the road to sustainable progress with responsible consumption and production, affordable clean energy, peace, justice, and strong institution, as well as climate action. many companies in the world have integrated some sustainable development goals in their business strategies and development activities. Let's start now first with Mexico. With its technologies, ABB is a driving force for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, Mr. Hernandez, you certainly have much to say on ABB's contribution in Mexico to mobility, sustainable power, and the development of digital smart solutions for industry. You have the floor.
For sure, Felipe, and something that I'm personally very passionate about. At ABB, we believe and actively contribute to a more sustainable world. We just integrated our sustainability strategy for 2030, leading by example in our own operations and partnering with customers and suppliers to achieve our main sustainability targets. Let me first comment on we enable a low carbon society. We're looking to reach a carbon neutrality in our own operations. Also, we support and reducing the annual CO2 emissions for more than 100 megatons, and also in the supply chain emissions reduction. This is one of the targets for 2030, as well as preserve resources. 80% on our right now, and solutions covered by a circularity approach. We're looking at a zero waste to landfill, and suppliers and a full sustainability framework for suppliers here. We also promote social progress, starting by our own operations with zero harm to our people and contractors, promoting diversity and inclusion, both in the same way. One example is having 25% of women among the leadership positions by 2030, and to becoming a top tier on employee engagement score in our industry. This is also connect with the impact support the impactful support on our communities that we have in each operation, that we have in some specific activities in the areas when we operate and we have the largest operations. ABB smart technologies are helping to meet many of the targets on the Sustainable Development Goals. In most of our business, our portfolio have reached this 80% eco-friendly. And when we focus on the SDGs, we also can have more impact and in different ones. But specifically, we contribute directly on the 17 SDGs due to a technology innovation, playing a critical role in meeting affordable and clean energy, as you just mentioned, industry and innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities. We believe in the smart city concept, not just for the sake of saying that, but also for the benefits they have directly on sustainability, responsible consumption in production, and clean water and sanitization, and decent work and economic growth. We have different programs connected with universities, and not just globally, but also in Mexico, in the way we take very young professionals who participate, and we providing with even economical support, coaching, mentoring through all the process until they have reached basically adults, or they have graduated from the schools. Most of them we've been very happy to see that they have continued their careers with us in most of our operations. Also in ABB, we contribute with a cultural change in the way we need to deploy and sustainable mobility. Our participation on the ABB Formula E is more than a race. Is sending key message to younger operations and decision makers in the way we sponsor the only certified sport as neutral carbon footprint since its birth, because of the naturality of electrical cars. And we also this one have been that this Autos Championships become the category of certified for ISO 2121. So when we see all these activities, we we're seeing a number of products that exceeded a number of impact in the economy with our products that exceeded about 5 trillion. Each business area with their own research and development, they have put a specific agenda basically in how they want to develop all this portfolio towards a much stronger not just business objectives, but also sustainability objectives connected to our long-term strategy. Our platform, ABB Ability, is very well connected in terms of how do we connect the physical world with digitalization in order to provide prompt information for efficiency in energy, efficiency in the use of assets, as well as of the use of proper operations, on improving the proper operations. At this point, with the migration of our focus on the emissions on free mobility, we have energized close to 400,000 cars in 85 countries. This is 2020 numbers, and we have enabled around 24 million charging stations. This is a number of vehicles in general, not just buses and automobiles, but different sessions on charging that have been initiated. With I mean, this represent around 330 gigawatts hour being delivered for that. So with all this, we can see that within the different policies in the government that will make this a reality in terms of the electromobility will become much more accessible for us, and this policy on CO2 reductions will basically will have a very strong impact in our communities. So this kind of the agenda that we summarize in 2020, but we're looking basically to continue to develop this, to having more adoption, not just for fun. I mean, any of you have drive a electrical car, is they change the conception on the slow car. This is really fast. We have just launched one of the largest or the most advanced technology for charging. So with 3 minutes, we can have more than 250 kilometers basically of that, which is basically a coffee or less than a coffee, basically in a charging station, Philip.
Okay, thank you very much, Angelo, for sharing with us that we see that ABB is a vector of the Sustainable Development Goals, 7 out of 17. And also, what I found most interesting in what you said is that in your work, in your activities, at the end of the day, your objective is to have policies to be developed and to be implemented by the government. And with your experience and with the results that you achieve, indeed, you can have a major impact on that in several countries. And 250 kilometers is a very nice drive. You know, you go across Switzerland with that. You may not go across Mexico, but nevertheless, it's already a very nice drive. And this is going to, and you have a charging station after you come up of this mileage. So if you allow me now, I would go to Brazil again, and here we are looking at. I'm back with Angelo Colombo, Swiss Re in Brazil, talking about insurance. And insurance plays a very significant role in society. With good insurance, people and business feel more secure and can face hardships without losing hope, dignity, and perspectives for the future. Referring to the Sustainable Development Goals, there is clearly a need to increase access to insurance for traditionally undeserved segments of society. There is a strong demand for innovative insurance products and services that address climate risks, contribute to reduce emissions and increase resiliency. For instance, by increasing smallholder farmers' resiliency to climate change, one can meet several sustainable development goals at once. So I would like now to give you the floor and to ask you in which economic areas is Swiss Re mostly active in Brazil, contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. Angelo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Philip. Swiss Re is very aligned with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And since the launch of the SDGs in 15, we have been very close and refining our framework on how can we really contribute as an insurer to the resilience of the world. So as I already mentioned, we are very close in Brazil to agribusiness sector. And as you said, Philip, there are many families that are out of the bank system. So it's not easy to provide the traditional products to them. So Swiss Re has been developing what we call parametric solutions, and also hand in hand with government, with our public sector and solutions department, whereby instead of replacing one of the properties when something bad happens, we insure a parameter. So if there is lack of rain, if it's or excess of rain, or if there is a drought or a big frost, as it happened this year in Brazil, the worst frost in 50 years, this is the trigger for a big reimbursement. And with that, we can cover a big amount of small producers, even without the particular instrument one by one. Those instruments are quite well known in Mexico, for example, where you have the FONDEM, the big funds that protect population in case of earthquake. In Brazil, we don't have earthquake, but we have droughts and frosts. So we brought this technology to Brazil, and it's been very useful to bring resilience. At the same time, we are providing coverage for solar panels, for aeolic wind power, and also hydrogen. So all of these new technologies in the traditional insurance world, they require a lot of time since they become really proven. Swiss Re is ahead and really bringing the risk transfer so that the research and development can really be encouraged to continue to bring these technologies, in particular in the hydrogen area, where they may need to revamp old pipelines, or also use offshore rigs as substations in the middle of the ocean, because there must be a green approach. And that's the role of the insurer. So provide safety for this development. And also, I would say that Swiss Re is a big investor in the carbon sequestration through the Climeworks. So we made a partnership with Climeworks around the globe, whereby we invest a substantial amount in order to buy these walls that will remove CO2 and then inject underground. But most important is that we provide insurance for all of these technologies that are quite new. So carbon sequestration and then injection in lower layers that one day will become a rock, and that also helps reducing climate change. So not only we are investing our equity, but also exposing our capital and creating this knowledge among the insurers so that others can follow us and really promote the environment sustainability.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you brought up some very interesting elements for us and for our panel this afternoon, because you showed us that Swiss Re works closely with other industries. And you have some industries which are going to develop carbon sequestration, but then they will need you in order to provide some insurance in order to provide more safety to the various economic actors which are involved in that. And in addition to this, looking at the various areas which you described, we can certainly see that some will have an impact on the policies that Brazil is going to implement, and also some other countries, thereby coming up with new programs. You certainly play a pioneer role, which then later on can become some national programs which help to meet the sustainable development goals. So thank you very much. This being said, I will now move back to Chile. It's going to be the last, my last stop on this journey through Latin America before going to the audience and the public for some questions. So now going back to Chile, Chile is also significantly affected by climate change and societal aspirations. AFRI is contributing to that objective by bringing to Chile industry 4.0 framework with a set of digital services and solutions through which industrial processes and operations can be optimized in terms of efficiency, safety, and quality, while promoting the sustainable development of operations throughout the entire production chain. So, Mr. Führer, could you tell us about AFRI's contribution to move its clients on a path of sustainable development, and also how can stimulate AFRI's engineering activities? Mr. Führer, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nell. Yeah, as AFRI in Chile, we have a large variety of clients, and each client, they have its own strategy in moving towards a more sustainable business or improve their business processes and so on. And there is a growing awareness also that sustainable business is an important part in the stakeholder management or even the shareholder evaluations. Especially younger generation, they want to invest in sustainable companies. And so also our clients here, they are developing their programs or their strategies, same as ABB or Swiss Re, us as well, with sustainability goals. And some of them, they are more advanced in their definitions and others are not. And in that case, we try to guide them according to our cross-industrial experience. And in fact, we just we organized an online workshop last week here in Chile, where we presented with our international experts topics like how to address CO2 footprint, water footprint, energy efficiency, and operational excellence tools that we have developed in-house with our specialists. And this way we showcase executed and real-life examples from our clients, and this also helps our clients to define what they need. Because sometimes they have a very rough picture of what they want to do, but they need help with a better definition, especially also when it comes to an action plan, how to reach their goals. It's easy to define a goal, but sometimes they need the help with showing them the roadmap, how to get there. Yes, and also on group level, we have taken some decisions in order to reach also sustainable operations and sustainable development goals. We phase out coal-fired thermal projects, or respectively, we now focus on the decarbonization process in these projects. We have also developed studies in different countries or cities to push further waste to energy projects, also to reduce landfilling, which is I think a huge problem in Latin America. There's a project in Mexico, unfortunately it was stopped. And also we participate, of course, in a large portfolio in renewable energy projects where we aim to optimize the projects in a sustainable way with our experience that we have with over 100 years in the business.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can discuss further now all these points during the half an hour that we have left with the audience. We are just sharp on time, so you were just fantastic in coming up with our discussions to the time. And I would like to open now the discussion to the audience, and this will enable you also to further complement some points you have. You may have some slides you still like to show, and this will be give you the opportunity for that. And we have half an hour for now a discussion with the audience or between each other. You may also, have some rebuttals and some comments on the activities that you are doing ABB in Mexico, or Swiss Re in Brazil, or AFRI in Chile. So I'm going to go back now to Tatiana in order to get the first questions that have been proposed by the audience. Tatiana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Philippe. The first question is addressed to Angelo Colombo. Has or will Swiss Re return to their clients to conduct physical risk surveys when it becomes safe to do so based on pandemic conditions?
Thank you, Tatiana. Very good question. Of course, we are waiting until we have all the safety conditions so that our surveyors can go on the field. Just for your reference, in our Brazilian operation, we returned only 18% of the staff and obeying all the protocols and monitoring and hygienic high protocols. And we want to make sure we are safe so that we can go to our customers also in a very safer manner. But it's necessary to have this human touch when possible. We already are executing the distance or the surveys from distance, but we'll certainly return when time allows and in a very coordinated manner, hopefully by early next year.
Thank you, Angelo. The next question is, I believe, for all of our panelists. One clear message we got from business and governments in this forum is the need for more e-government tools. How do you see the Latin American region dealing with this issue? Are there e-government tools you want to see more of? I don't know who wants to start. Please feel free just to speak up.
I can start. So we, as an example, in São Paulo state, we 6 months ago, or maybe 1 year ago, it took 30 days to open a new company. Now it takes 1 day. So this is part of a massive e-government tool development and something that I experienced. And I think that's a way really to speed up and reduce bureaucracy. But that's maybe São Paulo only, and hopefully this will be an example for the rest of the country.
Yeah, the Chilean government, they're working quite closely with Estonia, I think, which is, I think, the most digitalized government. So they are trying to learn from them and implement some of the tools they have developed, and make them also suitable for the Chilean reality. There has been some improvements. I think, as in many other countries, the pandemic has been the driver for this, and there are some processes that can now be completely done online, but I'm sure what I see is there needs to be more. There's still a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy involved, and sometimes that's quite slow and is an obstacle for doing efficient business. That's for sure. But I think Chile is already on a higher level than other Latin American countries. But I think this partnership or this collaboration with Estonia is a big help.
Okay, let me comment. I can see very good efforts and progress at the state level. A state who are becoming very well organized, like Mexico City or Nuevo León, which is Monterrey, where processes are starting to speed up very fast using digital platforms, especially for some of them more for in a personal way, maybe less for companies, but I can see a very good effort on those. At the federal government, I can see two different types of speeds. One is that we are in transition because regulators overall are being defined right now. Some of them being integrated, like the one for energy being integrated to the utility company named CFE, and which provides different challenge for not just for the integration of companies, but also when you need to interconnect to the grid. Okay, which usually used to be a very straightforward process. So still a lot of challenge there. I can see good progress, and when you need to subscribe companies in the new bills that becoming more and more electronically, but still room to go. But different speeds, I would like to say with that, Tatiana. You're on mute.
Yes, sorry about that. The next question, UNCTAD tells us of an increasing trend towards the regionalization of value chains. Do you see this trend confirmed in Latin America, and how is it affecting your operations and strategies?
I can comment on that. In Mexico, what we produce, we export close to 90-some%, 95+%, dependent on that. Most of that is going to the US and Canada, and the rest is going to Latin America and other countries. I can see that the exports, I don't see that a lot of affectations. I mean, we have issues with containers and sea transport and others being a challenge right now with COVID, especially with the scarcity of that and on materials, not just microprocessors, but also iron, copper, as well as others. But I can see no changes in the way we continue to export down south from here. And in case of North America, we continue to adjust. The new investment in North America continue to be a strong opportunity for us as a country, with a very large investments of 1 trillion being in the US. But overall, I think the challenge are more related to COVID, the scarcity of materials, transport, but not much in policies change for that. It's still good room and opportunity for us to continue to grow in that area.
And also complement, so we see regionalization in the insurance program. So we call multi-Latinas. So more and more companies in the region detaching from the former global framework to buy insurance as conglomerates in Latin America. So we see this in in Brazil for many conglomerates. Also, the reshoring after this pandemic is creating a new breadth of development. I see much more pronounced in Mexico, certainly, but also Brazil is benefiting from that. And the region emerging stronger after this logistics bottlenecks and pandemics.
Yeah, I can maybe show the user side of this, as was mentioned before. And maybe that's part of the recovery process. I still see that the supply chain and of even simple products is strongly depending on imports, at least here, and we have a huge lack of stock of almost everything. So that's certainly affecting everyday life. Huh? For us in our business, we work before and we work now in an interconnected way, and we get the resources that we need from wherever they are. Only now that we work in a digital way and not so much presential with travels. That's what I can observe at this point in time.
We just received 2 more questions. Are there concrete actions governments in the region could envisage for business to adopt more sustainability measures?
I can start in the light of COP26. So Brazil has a very strong agenda and a proposal, a letter from the companies here, and a commitment with net zero 2050, and also in the agriculture, a lot of innovative commitment and investment for. I can really say it's growing as we speak, but I think COP26 will be a cornerstone for the country this time, as far as commitment with the environmental KPIs are concerned.
Maybe I can comment. Mexico is still looking to see what is going to happen with the new reform that is being introduced. I can see a lot of efforts more from the private government, from the private sector, to continue to promote and live upon their global sustainability goals. I believe that I can see more very active the private sectors on different number of areas, not just us, also our customers, in the way we connect with them, because they have a strong sustainability agenda. Some of them looking to migrate into zero emissions, zero waste, and they look at companies like us, basically to continue to have those conversations for that. I can see also a good efforts on state government in terms of electromobility. Some of them are coming along with policies which also promote the development of electromobility. But on top to that, I can see more amount of programs for electrical transportation, not just buses, but also teleferics and others, or cable cars, among others. But it's still area to develop, I will say, in terms of policies per se overall, Tatiana.
Patrick, would you like to comment, or shall I take the next question?
I'm sorry, I was having a problem. I didn't hear your question.
Are there concrete actions governments in the region could envisage for businesses to adopt more sustainability measures?
Well, I mean, here the government is already implementing and updating environmental standards. As mentioned before, Chile is highly affected by climate change. We have a long drought over 1 decade, and there's new laws about glacier protection, especially with the mining operations in the mountains, and the government is already in this, because we're already well advanced in with the problems, and they are taking actually emergency actions already for these problems, because they are already affecting the economy in agriculture and in mining, which are the main economic arms for the Chilean economy. So at least what I see is there are already a lot of reforms ongoing on a local level or regional level.
Then I take the next question from the live streaming. El Salvador recently adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender. What type of impact do you believe this will have on its foreign direct investments and poverty reduction?
Maybe from my point of view, I think we're still quite a long way from that point. When I see at least when the tenders that are ongoing and how they are handled from the government, and how I see the banking sector, at least here I see the banking sector is doing everything to avoid the entry of these cryptocurrencies. At least in Chile, I know. I think in Switzerland, there was one project recently that was fully executed and paid in cryptocurrencies. But I think here we're still a long ways from that point. I don't know how the others see that.
There's too much volatility, and then we are, as conservatives and really in the insurance industry, we are strongly regulated. So we watch, of course, we can't close our eyes to that. But in particular, El Salvador, it's a big bet. So hopefully they will manage, because population has been suffering for a while there. But it's hard to judge looking at what we know so far due to the huge volatility, ups and downs.
And I would like to add that I think the countries should also be fully aware that they cannot substitute this crypto for hard currency. And El Salvador is a country which is using the dollar, as a currency. So it is a country which is facing the very easily a foreign exchange gap. Ecuador is in the same case. They use the dollar as a legal tender in the country to do all the operations. And therefore, one may think that crypto could be an alternative to that foreign exchange gap, meaning the lack of hard currency. But as was said, there is still a lot of knowledge that is to be gathered about the instrument and about the security it provides, and then how it can be used. But certainly, this will not solve issues for countries which face difficulties in getting their foreign account balances in balance. Thank you.
Vicente, you were going to add it?
Yeah, I would say from well, when looking at developments, Mexico and different countries, can see that digitalization and the different digital models, including banking and others, will trigger multiple business models that will reactivate the economy and will provide more investments because the people will have much more access to money. And I will see that Bitcoin can participate into that. Do I see the other way around? No. Okay. Bitcoin could participate as more as dollar. I mean, especially when you're trading and you're using transactions. But basically, the main platform will be the business model related to digitalization per se.
If I'm correct, we have 5 minutes to go, and there is just one more question, which I believe will then be the last. If you could choose, what could be the first priority in terms of policy reform to facilitate your business operations?
Well, I would say with a long-term view, certainly education, because we still have problems to find talents, so that there's a scarcity of talents. And if we had a stronger education system, certainly Brazil would be able to absorb more business opportunities. And because, you know, from a cost standpoint, that's highly advantageous, and the time to market would be ideal. From a short-term impact, I would say to liberalize the financial sector in a more rapid way. So we still have a lot of protectionism, and this is coming from a long time. Brazil is a very protectionist country, and probably that hampers our development, but namely in the financial sector.
Well, on my side, I may add, by having visited so many companies through Latin America, that I think in terms of priorities for companies, I would mention legal security as an important one, and also strong institutions. Thank you.
Yeah, I will connect with Philippe. I mean, as we move along, as private investment, we're looking to have certainty in the mid and long term, because I mean, we've been in Latin America 70 to 100 years, and we continue to, and we're looking to be in the long term. So yes, there is kind of the short term in making sure we continue to invest. Of course, there is area that will trigger much more investment in terms of macroeconomy, currency, trades, among others. But definitely the certainty and making sure that what you have invested, at least for the next 5 to 20 years, will continue to be secure, and we continue to be a platform to continue development. So when we see some trends of protectionism and in different areas, I mean, I don't want to touch a specific one, it can raise some point of concerns, and I just would like to say that.
Okay, maybe complementing what was already said, I think, I mean, say most of this applies here as well. For us, I mean, we mainly work with private clients, and that has there's a reason, because it is very complicated and risky as well to work with governmental institutions, even in Chile. And there are mechanisms in place that make it very complicated, especially for foreign companies to enter into business with them, and when you actually make it get into business with them, it's related with connected with a lot of risks. That starts with legal risks, which are very one-sided, and that also in the execution of a service or a contract that and ends with getting the payments, and where the public institutions are highly protected against private companies. So that would be probably a good thing, that the entry barrier would be a bit lower, and also then they would probably get a better, more competitive and solutions, not only on an economic level but also on a technological level.
Okay, thank you very much. We are coming now close to the end of our panel. Before giving back the floor to Chantal Dupaquier from UNCTAD, who is going to pronounce the closing remarks, I would just, as a moderator, thank you, and also draw 4 conclusions from our discussion. The first conclusion is, from what my take-in from today is that there is confidence in investment. There are many opportunities in the 3 countries, and crisis means opportunities, and the data is positive for now, the coming years. Second conclusion, referring to Sustainable Development Goal, I have the impression, yes, it is ambitious. These are targets, and we will see in 2030 how did we do. But what I learned today is that there is a significant role of a business community, and the business community takes it very seriously. Third conclusion, in both areas of our discussion, investment and sustainable development goals, companies have programs and also pursue initiatives. These programs and initiatives can serve as pilot projects for national programs to be implemented later under new policies by governments, and thereby stimulating sustainable growth. And finally, this panel has shown that talking business can be mostly helpful for policy makers and also for companies to learn from each other. Thank you very much. And now I will pass the floor back to Chantal Dupaquier from UNCTAD for the closing remarks. Back to you, Chantal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nel. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of this session, and I hope you have enjoyed the presentation and the discussion as much as I did. I would like to express, on behalf of UNCTAD, our sincere gratitude to the Latin American Chamber of Commerce in Switzerland, LATCAM, for this collaboration. A very special thank you to Mrs. Gaspar for the wonderful work you have done to put together the session. I hope, Tatiana, that we will have the opportunity to collaborate again in the future. Our sincere gratitude also goes to Dr. Nel for having accepted to moderate the session. We are grateful to have had the opportunity to benefit from your knowledge and expertise of the Latin American market. Finally, a big thank you to our speakers for their inspiring presentation, and the participants from around the world who followed live on the World Investment Platform. I hope we leave policymakers with food for thought on how to continue improving the conditions for the private sector to contribute fully and meaningfully to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, and wherever you are, have a good day, a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.